The BAFTA goes to All Quiet on the Western Front.
The 76th British Academy Film Awards was a mediocre event at best. Even though All Quiet on Western Front went into the night with 14 nominations and walked out with 7, including Best Picture, which is the most wins and nominations for any non-English film ever, there was much distress over the winners of the night among all categories. Cate Blanchett had a heartfelt moment while accepting her award.
An enormous a lot. An enormous a lot. I don't know whatever that means, but yes.
There was a wrong name calling incident, but the most press coverage was about this moment.
ANJUHLA BAHSET did the thing. Viola Davis, my woman king. Blanchett, Kate, you're a genius. And Jamie Lee,
Ariana Debose opened the ceremony with her own number, and the internet took notice of it, to say the least.
ANJUHLA BAHSET did the thing. ANJUHLA BAHSET did the thing. ANJUHLA BAHSET did the thing. ANJUHLA BAHSET did the thing.
Just a year prior, she had picked up the award for Best Supporting Actress for her portrayal of Anita on West Side Story, and even went on to win an Oscar. She had a prolific background in Broadway, and this was quite different than what was expected of her.
Everybody!
She starts off her performance with pretty compelling vocals. She pays nod to women in the film industry in general. She has her little Kate Winslet in the poster of Titanic moment with her double hairstyle. And the opening feels pretty grand. She has this moment with her dress I adore. Because at the end of the day, she can sing and she will do it well. Until she starts calling women by name after doing her little salute, I want to say.
Charlotte Wells, we love Aftersun.
Here she lists all the women that debuted in 2022, starting with Charlotte Wells, the director of Aftersun. It is one of my favorite movies of the year, and objectively speaking, it is incredible that this is her directorial debut. It is a movie about a girl who recollects her memories of her vacation in Greece with her father, who's suffering through depression. A very central piece of filmmaking. I'm very glad that she went on to win this category. The Oscars went on to completely snub her and her film, except for Paul Mescal, who went on to get nominated, so good for him.
Georgia, Hélène, Blue Jeans, the one.
Georgia and Hélène are respectively the director and the producer of Blue Jean, a story about a closeted teacher who's threatened to be outed by one of her students.
Elena, Maya, the team works grand.
The teamwork of Elena and Maya in question was a documentary called Rebellion, which is about the climate crisis. And since it's a documentary, I've not watched it, and neither have many other people, turns out. So I'll just have to take Ariana's word for it.
Good luck to you, Katy Brand.
Katy Brand is the writer for Good Luck to You, Leo Grand, which is a movie starring Emma Thompson about a sexually inexperienced woman who hires a sex worker because she has never had an orgasm, which is a pretty relatable topic for most straight women, and Katy seems to have had a pretty long career leading up to her debut, so props to her.
Electric Malady, Marie, girl, what a slay.
I love the way she says Electric Malady. Mary Linden is the director of Electric Malady. Ariana calls it a slay, but it is also a documentary, so I don't know how slay it can be. This is also one of the moments where Ariana lies and exaggerates to hype up the mentioned filmmaker present in the audience.
Sandy Powell without fellowship. Costume queen, can you fix this zip?
The slight change into a British accent always makes me giggle. I mean, this is the BAFTA, so it only makes sense to do it here. The BAFTA Fellowship is a Lifetime Achievement Award presented by the BAFTAs. Few of its notable previous recipients are Alfred Hitchcock in 1971, Charlie Chaplin in 1976, and Dame Maggie Smith in 1996. Sandy Powell is a 3-time Academy Award-winning costume designer, and she was the 2023 recipient of this award. Some of her best work for me is the favorite Cinderella and Carol. And now Ariana breathlessly moves on to the actresses that were nominated that night.
All the ladies in the room, supporting and leading, all here I presume. Hong Chau.
Hong Chau, she really tried pronouncing that name. Hong Chau had a great year. She was in The Whale, The Menu, snatching a BAFTA and an Oscar nod for the prior. And this was a great year for Asian actors, as we will go on to see. And it's lovely to see Hong Chau finally make it. I'm really happy for her.
Hong Chau, Dolly D.
Dolly D Leon, or Dolly D as Ariana calls her, is another phenomenal actress. She's in fact the first Filipino actress to be nominated for a BAFTA or a Golden Globe, and considering her filmography, it seems her international career has been long in the making, and I'm so glad she got nominated for Triangles of Sadness. She is kind of the center of the film, so I'd argue she could have gone for leading, but considering the competition in the leading category and that Dolly is pretty new, I get why they chose supporting. I watched Triangles of Sadness in the theaters, and it was evident how brilliant she was in a role. She had the whole theater cheering for her. She apparently auditioned without an agent and got the role. So great movie, great performance. She won the Academy and every other film award for overlooking her. I'm so happy she was nominated for a BAFTA. Just really happy for Dolly D. And I can't wait to see what she goes on to do next.
Kerry and Carey with the C.
Kerry and Carey with the C refers to two nominees in the same category with the same name, basically. Kerry Condon and Carey Mulligan. This leads to another highlight of the show where Kerry Condon won for her performance in Banshees of Inisherin, but they called Carey Mulligan's name, who was nominated for She Said. Carey Mulligan was only one of two nominees for her film, so she had a really slim chance of winning this night. And her being nominated over Stephanie Hsu just didn't sit right with me. Kerry Condon, on the other half, was a part of this huge wave called Banshees of Inisherin, also one of my favorite movies of the year. This and the SAG Awards are the only major indicator award shows where anyone except ANJUHLA BAHSET won, and trust me, we will get to ANJUHLA BAHSET. Banshees has prominently found a way to bag one or the other award at almost every award show this season, and at the BAFTAs it won big with 4 out of 10 nominations. I would have understood if Colin Farrell won at the BAFTAs over Brendan Fraser, because, well, it's the BAFTAs, but Austin Butler? No comment. I mean, I love Barry Keoghan, but him over Kiwi Kwan or Brendan Gleeson, who had a far impactful role in the same movie, was just not that great of a choice. Anyway, Kerry had a great performance. Ironic that an Irish story would have such a good run at the BAFTAs, but I'm happy for her. The supporting actress this year was neck to neck in terms of performance, so I'm glad Kerry picked up at least one award.
Dame Emma, I'm so fond.
I mean, aren't we all fond of Emma Thompson? Fun fact, she's the only person in history to have won an Oscar in both an acting and a writing field. But for this role in particular, BAFTAs were the only major award shows that gave it a nomination. Her to be nominated over, say, Mia Goth. I mean, Mia Goth had been snubbed the entire award season. Not a single nomination from any award show for herself or either of her X trilogy movies. I mean, horror movies tend to get overlooked so often. This happened with Florence Pugh, Lupita Nyong'o, and most importantly, Toni Collette in Hereditary.
Shit! Don't you ever raise your voice at me! I am your mother!
And if you can overlook Toni Collette in Hereditary, you can overlook anyone. So Mia Goth's snub was highly expected, but very disappointing. So my point is, Emma Thompson's nomination was kind of a legacy pick. If anyone else had given that performance, they would not have gotten a nomination or even a consideration.
Anna girl, you were great in blonde.
Be so serious. Look at Anna, even she doesn't believe that. Anyone who tracked the reception of Blonde knew the train wreck that was supposed to be expected from that movie. Be Kind Rewind has a great video on this already, but to summarize it, this role was a peak commercialization of a former superstar that the media had already milked dry. The performance was not all that great, and it was just Oscar bait. So yeah, Anna Babe was not great in Blonde. This might be another one of Ariana's misleading lyrics.
Danielle D, you broke my heart.
I love the genuine excitement in Danielle Deadwyler's face upon hearing her name. Deadwyler was the only nomination for Till, not only at the BAFTAs, but almost at every award show, except, you know. It's without a doubt that she deserved a nomination over Ana de Armas at the Oscars, but Till didn't have the same push as Blonde did. Any press is good press, and Blonde had a lot of press. I hope Danielle Deadwyler someday wins in this category.
Michelle, I've loved you from the start.
Michelle, yo. I say Michelle, you say yo.
Michelle! Michelle!
Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle Yeoh has had a very long career, not just as an actor but also as a stuntman. To say that Michelle Yeoh is a legend is not a reach, because for so many Asian households she has been a star for generations, and everything seemed to be leading up to this precise moment. Decades of her gracious acting, fashion, underappreciation in Western media finally paid off when she starred as Evelyn Wang alongside Kiwi Kwan as her lovely husband Raymond in Everything Everywhere All at Once. I could gush about how much I love this movie for hours, but for the sake of this video, I'll only mention why the timing of it was so great. Here are two Asian actors, an icon and a beloved actor that had to withdraw from acting because there weren't any roles for him to play. And here comes a movie that celebrates being an Asian, and it revives careers and gives them their flowers that were overdue. They were a solid duo, and Kiwi Kwan's comeback story seemed to have struck very well with most of the award show voters, leading him to sweep almost every award he was nominated for, except of course the BAFTAs, which I have to admit was something I didn't see coming. Michelle Yeoh's loss was not that surprising because of the history BAFTA has with its winners. Right when the award shows are looking to make themselves more inclusive and came out a great movie with an inclusive cast, I assumed that BAFTAs would be one of the award shows who would want to redeem themselves from their history by acknowledging acts like these, but BAFTAs was not on the same page. The SAG Awards was yesterday, and going forward, Michelle and Everything Everywhere's win, I think the narrative is still strong.
The Asians were not good enough, and they are not box office. But look at us now, huh?
And I think Michelle Yeoh might just make history because she's 60 and with her first nomination while being the first Asian actress to be nominated for Best Actress. I hope and I really want her to win Best Actress at the Oscars, and hence Ariana's loved you from the start. And finally, the moment we've all been waiting for.
ANJUHLA BAHSET did the thing.
Just so you know, this was very intentional.
ANJUHLA BAHSET did the thing. Viola Davis, my woman king. ANJUHLA BAHSET did the thing. Viola Davis, my woman king.
More importantly, for most people, they couldn't understand what the thing was.
Diego, do the thing.
This was Ariana's use of AAVE, and this is the thing that she did.
She wished mine. It's with the ancestors. I am queen of the most powerful nation in the world, and my entire family is gone. Have I not given everything?
Yeah, that's it. She acted really well. That is what she did. That's the thing, and that's it. And after the NAACP award acceptance,
I guess Angela Bassett did the thing.
From Angela and Ariana in the SAG Awards, I think this stroke struck really well in Angela Bassett's favor. Anyway, Angela Bassett's story is very similar. She has had a remarkable career as well, and her flowers are long overdue. Back when she was a contender for major awards with What's Love Got to Do With It, there had been no black or any POC actresses for that matter to win Best Actress at the Oscars or at the BAFTAs. She had no BAFTA nominations for that role, and the fact that she won at almost every other award show except the BAFTA speaks volume. And to say that Bassett had been overlooked because of her race would not be entirely wrong. Even now, 0 women of color have won Best Actress at the BAFTAs. At least the Oscars has had 1 Halle Berry, but the BAFTAs have had nothing. The Academy and the BAFTAs is known to snub women of color in leading categories. I mean, there is hope that change is coming, with acts like Michelle Yeoh being the frontrunner. But until now, most had to take path of Best Supporting Actress if you are a woman of color and wanted an Oscar. Viola Davis, who won Best Actress at the Tonys for the same role in Fences, opted for Best Supporting Actress at the Oscars because the chances were better. And look how that went.
So here's to August Wilson, who exhumed and exalted the ordinary people.
And to quote Viola Davis herself,
You cannot win an Emmy for roles that are simply not there.
So this was Angela Bassett's moment. It had been so for the entire award season run. I'm sure Angela Bassett will continue to do a thing at the Oscars too, but Here it was a snub, and we know why this was. Talking about Viola Davis, our woman king,
Viola Davis, my woman king.
because, you know, she was in The Women King, another massive snub at the Oscars that the BAFTAs thankfully recognized. I'd say the same issue as Danielle did Violet. The nomination was carried by a single person, which made the win unlikely, but she's our most recent EGOT.
I just EGOT.
So I'm just happy for her. She looked happy to be there, and I think she already knew that she was not the frontrunner this season. I love the way she stands in glee every time Michelle Yeoh wins. I just love her so much. She's my Annalise, she's my woman king, so Ariana was right about that.
Blanchett, Kate, you're a genius.
Blanchett Cate, more commonly known as Cate Blanchett, is indeed a genius. She was the face of Tar for its campaign, and if Tar was winning any awards, it was Best Actress. And I think Tar was just such an incredible movie, and I'm glad that Martin Scorsese agrees. Michelle Yeoh has been at the heap of Oscar so white debate. It was well acknowledged that it was the time to give her decade-long overdue recognition. And for Cate Blanchett, who was already a 2-time BAFTA and a 2-time Academy Award winner by this point, for her to be recognized at the same level as Michelle Yeoh with Everything Everywhere's massive campaign speaks volume as to how good her performance was. Here's a woman that has never received any of these awards because of the lack of opportunity, and here's one that has already won twice. For Cate to have been considered for this award as a frontrunner, she must have given the performance of a lifetime, and boy did she. I have my predictions as to how this is going to play out into the Oscars. I mean, BAFTA has a perfect record of not acknowledging women of color in this category, and it does not seem like it's looking to change, so this was understood. Cate did win the Critics' Choice Award over Michelle, but Michelle also won the SAG Awards over Cate. And it is about time Academy Awards crowns itself its first Asian Best Actress. So I think Michelle is going to win this. But that is not the only reason Michelle might win this over Cate. At the BAFTAs, there are actresses who've won 5 awards, so having a prolific actress like Cate win 3 is not a big deal. The Oscars have only 2 actresses who've won 3 or more awards. Katharine Hepburn, who has won 4, and Frances McDormand, who has won 3. Having 3 Oscars as an actor is a great feat, and Cate has in it herself to give another great performance. In my mind, I have no doubt that Cate Blanchett is one of the most, if not the most, gifted actresses of this generation. She's hands down one of my all-time favorites. Just this time, however, I think the Academy should rule it in Michelle's side. The BAFTAs didn't do so. This does not entirely hurt her chances. It has happened many times before, and this has been one of my favorite award show seasons in years, and this was a good year for movies in general. So I'm just excited to see how this rolls out. I hope Michelle wins, but Cate did give one of my favorite performances ever. I just hope that she'd given it another year. But you know, she's indeed a genius.
Jamie Lee, you are all of us.
Jamie Lee, you are all of us. What on earth does this mean? Well, this one requires some context. Jamie Lee is another one of beloved actresses that hasn't received award show recognition. However, in 2022, she starred in the critically acclaimed Everything Everywhere All at Once, and she started receiving her list of nominations. Should she have been nominated over Stephanie Hsu, who actually deserved the Best Supporting Actress push? That's a different question. But for so long she had been loved, and the award shows finally found an excuse to acknowledge their love for her, and she's eternally grateful for this. The reason for her taking the role in the first place, however, was Michelle Yeoh. You will not make it across a Jamie Lee Curtis interview without her fangirling over Michelle Yeoh. If Michelle Yeoh wins an award, the person happiest in the room is Jamie Lee Curtis. So Jamie Lee is all of us, as in we would also all be fangirling over Michelle Yeoh. That's it. That's the context. I think you get a hang of it. Back to her being nominated over Stephanie Hsu in many awards. I think the producers for this movie recognized the star power Jamie had over Stephanie, and it was just easy to push her for any of these awards. I mean, it's a good strategy, I understand, but I think They downplayed her to the point I was sure that Stephanie was not getting nominated for the Oscars. And Stephanie was genuinely not nominated anywhere else. So it would be wrong, but it would make sense. But my girl Stephanie Chau, she pulled in. And it was one of the highlights of this year's Oscars. I don't get how Jamie Lee won over ANJUHLA and Stephanie at the SAG Awards, but I really liked her acceptance speech. But at the Oscars, I'm sure Angela Bassett is going to win. But if Stephanie Chau wins, my heart would still glow. After this, Ariana closes out her performance how every theatre kid would close off, and she does it pretty breathlessly.
Be true to you. You can't go wrong.
The fact that this happened on the same day as the Fergie National Anthem 5 years ago is insane, and she was, to me, the highlight of the BAFTAs. You cannot talk about the BAFTAs this year without talking about Ariana's performance. She was in Hamilton. She shouldn't have to prove herself. I don't expect everyone to belt out Janelle Monáe's Come Alive at every award show every year. I mean, Ariana does that without even any backing track. So good for her. We all know what she's capable of, and I don't think she deserves this much scrutiny for her performance. Justin Timberlake performed Can't Stop the Feeling. I don't think anyone batted an eye. No one even talked about it. It's sad that up-and-coming acts like Ariana need to pull up with these sorts of poppy musical numbers in fear of being forgotten. She has a well-earned Oscar, for Christ's sake. I hope she continues to find outstanding roles and follows her passion. I just hope that people can acknowledge that this performance is camp, and it was funny, and it was entertaining, at least. And this doesn't turn into one of those unfunny jokes that people keep bringing up her entire career. It's a thing that happened. Ariana is amazing. I will not be hearing anything else about it. Thank you.